Hey, how's it? So, with autumn sort of wrapping up and us going now into winter, I thought I'd take this opportunity to just do a bit of an update video. Show you guys what's currently growing in my garden and what I'm planning on doing for my winter garden. I thought it would be a little bit fun, so yeah, let's just get straight into it. So, just on the outset, I'll show you guys what's happening with the butternuts just now, but everything that I'm harvesting, I'm basically just curing here. This area gets quite a bit of sun throughout the day, so I thought I might as well utilize the space, cure up the butternuts before I bring them inside. So far it's working out pretty well. These two beans in this grow bag they're suffering a little bit, so they're actually getting a lot of aphids, a lot of aphid pressure. You can see over there, try and focus a little bit. So, to be honest, I mean you can see all over here as well. Bit of an issue at the moment, so I think, yeah, they're everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to harvest the last bit of these beans. I'm going to kill these off and I'm going to then plant something else in this grow bag. I haven't really decided what I'm going to plant in here. I might end up doing carrots, just from a sort of quality control perspective, because it's nice and deep. It'll be easy for me to keep it moist and all that sort of stuff. Either that, or I'm going to just put in a succulent, and it'll be sort of its perennial bed. But these aphids are becoming a bit of an issue for me, and I don't want them to then spread out to all my other brassicas. I don't want them to spread to the other beans that I have. So I think I'm going to have to kill these off just to try and prevent that from happening. So here I have quite a bit. I have all of this self-seeded coriander, and I think it was from the coriander video or the update video, I actually transplanted this guy here and this guy. They're doing pretty well, despite the fact that I've struggled so much with coriander in the past. So yeah, I think this is just a good spot for the coriander. So I'm going to then just essentially perennialize this little patch, and then going forward this will always be where I'm growing my coriander. I also have a few carrots that's busy growing up here. But now I don't see any sort of root, or I don't know what to call it, carrot development, I suppose. So I'm not sure if I'm actually going to get a carrot or not. Failing that, I'll just chow the tops. But we'll have to see how that's going on. And if you guys watched my latest video on radishes, yeah, these guys, this fifth sowing isn't doing so good. They're not bulbing up. I think this is a bit of a failure. So, to be honest, I think the best thing for me to do is actually just to take them out and restart. I'll either plant them again with radishes or something else. Maybe some like a leek or something. That's also something I've been struggling with, but I'll talk about that just now. Here I have a whole bunch of beans. They're doing phenomenally. I actually harvested quite a bit of beans yesterday. These guys are doing really well. What I've done is I've basically done like a makeshift Florida weave. I've put in some sticks as stakes, and I've just tied them up, because what was happening is they were essentially just flopping all over the ground, all over the place. So I thought, you know what, let's get them off the ground, Florida weave, and it's been working pretty well. I'm surprised, but I think if I do it from the get-go, it'll be much better. So yeah, this is definitely a good plan. Then I'm going to skip over the kale quickly, but over here I have some spring onions that I planted. All of this is transplants actually. Yeah. So I started them from seed in 6 cells. Some of them took, and those are then transplanted out. I also then directly sowed seeds here, and none of those have taken. So all the spring onions that's currently here, they're all transplants. So we'll see how that's going to go. I'm actually surprised with the success in the 6 cells, but then the failure in ground or direct. So I'm a bit taken aback by that. So it's something that I need to work on. But like I said, I'm also struggling with leeks. So maybe it's an incorrect location from my side. I don't actually know. So that's something I need to figure out. And then on that, right, I've got some chives that I've planted. These guys are doing alright. So I can't wait to start getting some chives. And then this kale. This kale is doing phenomenally. It's actually been doing very well. So far, I think I've harvested about 0.5 kilogram of kale. Quite surprising, to be honest. But just keep in mind that is with the stalks included, so that's probably where the additional weight comes in. And it's quite nice. It's like a bit of a more of an umami flavor than, say, like your spinach. We've been putting them on burgers and in sandwiches and stuff. They're pretty good. This little pepper plant of mine, so you can see there's still a pepper on here, but the other one I've harvested, the other one's pretty good, but this one's not looking so healthy. So this pepper plant and all the pepper plants in general, I'm going to prune up now that we're in winter. I'm going to prune them up and I'm going to hibernate this guy. Let's overwinter this guy. What I do want to do while it is winter, I actually want to relocate this guy. I want to relocate it to the other peppers so it can get more sun and be more productive. So that's something I want to do in this winter season. Okay, and I still have my overwintered parsley, my flat leaf parsley. But since relocating it to this position, it's been struggling. It's been struggling a lot. And you can see now it's actually competing with, or a fern is busy encroaching into its territory and competing with it. So this winter I also want to dig up the flat leaf parsley and relocate it just to get it out of here. I need to control this fern as well, but that's not really the point of this channel, but it's just something else that I want to do. Here is my ginger. So this ginger is doing pretty well, but it's starting to crisp up, die back. So I want to harvest this and see how this guy's going. And what I want to try to do, but I'll probably end up doing that with a different route. I want to try and grow ginger inside in a pot. I'll probably end up putting it in my bathroom. It gets quite a bit of sun there. It's nice and humid and moist. So I think that'll just be the perfect environment for a ginger crop. Also by doing that, I could maybe like start it inside. I can always then take it outside if I really want. All my tomatoes have died back. So in this bed currently, all I have is some coriander, basil, and some turnips. The turnips I think are only going to be ready by the end of May, so we'll see how that's going to go. But this area doesn't really get a lot of sun, so probably what I'm going to end up doing is most of these beds around here by the lapa, including some of the ones there by the peach tree, I'm just going to retire them for the rest of the season. Just put down some mulch and stuff, get the beds to rest, maybe just do a whole bunch of trench composting throughout winter, so that come spring then everything is sharpies, ready to go and ready. But yeah, as for planting up, I'm not really going to be planting anything up in this area. So one thing I just want to point out, and it's something I'm going to do a video on at some point during winter, my sun, this bed, because we're getting into winter now, the sun's position is changing, so this area is getting a lot more shade than I anticipated, which is a bit of an issue for me. So I need to actually figure this out. What's going to end up happening is most of the crops, especially like that row of cabbages, you can't even see them, but this row of cabbages, they're not getting enough sun. So what's happening now is they're starting to get overtaken by bugs. They're starting to get eaten by pests, and you can see something's chowing them. Oh, hello. Okay, so that was a bit of a surprise. I found 2 caterpillars on this cabbage. I inspected this cabbage that's also it has also been eaten a little bit. Likewise with this broccoli, I haven't found any more caterpillars, so I'm hoping that I found them. But the fact that there are 2 caterpillars, one of them were quite fat, the likelihood of me finding another one over the next few days is quite high. So it's something that I need to keep an eye on, and I'm very glad that I found it. But yeah, so like I said, because these guys are in the shade most of the time now, they're not really getting a lot of sun, they're not really growing much. So like any pest damage, like these caterpillars, any aphids or something, they're really going to overwhelm these plants, which is really not ideal. And yeah, honestly, I wish I had known about this previously in terms of the sun changing and this area becoming more shaded out. Then I wouldn't have planted them here, I would have planted them somewhere else. But hey, such is life, we all learn. So yeah, so that's one of the things that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be nursing these guys, right? And then what I've also done, I've planted or tried to sow some lettuce, some broccoli, what were these other guys? I can't even remember. There might have been cabbages, but nothing has really germinated yet, so I'm not sure if they're going to actually germinate. So yeah, so the whole idea with these, right? I mentioned again just now, but I am about 3 weeks from our first frost date. We actually had our first killing frost, mild killing frost last week Friday, which did a bit of damage. So I want to take my chance. I want to try and create like a little greenhouse. I have a bit of plastic and stuff. I'll maybe use some pallets just for a main structure, and then at least I'll have like a small greenhouse that I can either germinate seeds in or try and grow something like cabbages inside. So that's something that I want to try in this winter. So I have these broccolis. They're doing pretty well. I'm quite happy with this. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't seen any pests on them yet, but you never know. I have these lettuces. So because I've been struggling with lettuces so much, we actually just bought these guys from a nursery, and then I came and planted them in the garden. They're doing very well. This butter lettuce is looking good. These guys are growing quite nicely. These, I don't know what these varieties all are, to be honest, but these cabbages are beautiful. They're awesome. It's like such a bold color. I mean, it's crazy. It's really eye-popping. But anyway, so these guys is essentially going to be a cut and come again sort of lettuce. They don't head up. They're just a loose leaf lettuce, so that works out quite nicely. But again, I mean, you can see even all these bottles here, I've tried to sow some more lettuce. They're not really germinating. Because they're shaded out for so long, they're really taking a long time to grow. So I'll probably only get a maximum of 2, maybe 3 harvests out of these lettuces. We'll have to see. And then you'll see I've got my little tomato trellis here. I've actually got this nasturtium that I've trying to train up here. It wasn't really getting a lot of sun because it was sort of running in that corner at the back there. So I've tied it to this trellis in order for it to get a bit more sun, try and grow up. I want to take it across, up here, down, depending on how long it gets. And then even here, I've got this nasturtium here too. It started growing underneath this cucumber trellis. So now I've just brought it up, trying to train it through, get it some more sun so I can grow a bit more. And then, before I move from this spot, I have spinach. I've been struggling with spinach. I've been struggling a lot with spinach. And I finally have some spinach that's germinating, which is quite cool. We'll see how that goes. Okay, and then in this little spot I have a collection of cabbages that are sowed. They have germinated. And then I have cauliflower that I transplanted a while ago so that these can grow up. I think it's 4 cauliflower and then 4 cabbages. So we'll see how this goes. But again, because this area, I mean, what is the time now? It's 11 o'clock and these guys are already in shade. So these guys don't really get much sun. I don't know how these guys are going to do. It is a bit of an issue. I have my beans that's self-seeded there. Some, what is this? Sweet potato. But you can see now, like I mentioned, the killing frost. These guys have taken damage. Significant amount of damage, actually. So these guys probably aren't long for this war. I'm probably going to end up having to dig them up, see what happened, if they actually developed any spuds or not, and see what's going on, and reset this bed. I'll probably end up only leaving the beans to do what they do. Maybe I'll try planting some more bush beans here on the front, because if I plant some beans here on the front, then at least they'll get quite a bit of sun. But I don't know, we'll see how that goes. And then here, really cool experiment. So this is corn that I've grown from seeds that I saved from the first set of corn that I grew at the beginning of the 2024 growing season. So I harvested them in late Jan. Those fresh seeds are then sowed. I had phenomenal germination. It's actually been very interesting. But the problem is, because of all the rain, all the cold weather, all the cloudy days, these guys haven't really grown up very much. You can see this little dude here. I mean, it's sort of stomach height for me. And then these other guys have grown a little bit larger. I do have some ears forming, you can see at least, but nothing is really maturing yet. So we'll see how this goes, if it's actually going to result in a crop. Fortunately, one thing that I haven't had an issue with is birds this time. The last time, in the very first attempt, man, the weavers, they really destroyed these guys. They took off all the tassels, they attacked all the corn, they attacked the leaves. This time I haven't had any of those issues. The only issue that I've had, and you can see how the leaves are crisping up, it's just the consistent cold air, it's the consistent rain that we had. It's really only been drying up over the last 2 weeks. So we'll see how this goes. And yeah, in terms of the mulch, I really like the mulch. I want to try and enable the mulch to sort of grow further down. And this is awesome. I love this. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. Man, I love these clovers as mulch. To be honest, I think it rocks. It's such a cool aesthetic. All right, and now for the butternut patch. So I've started already harvesting butternuts. I've started pushing this back, but by the end of this week, I need to have harvested everything to prevent any further damage from some of these butternuts. Like you can see here, unfortunately some of these butternuts, I'm not sure if it's very evident on camera, but this has taken some damage because of the frost. There's a bit of discoloration to the top here. So one, I need to see what's going to happen with the ones that's taken frost damage, if they're actually going to ripen up or not. I need to then see if there's any damage to the flesh, and then for those ones that I try and store, how do they store? Do they then sort of go off a little bit sooner than the others? So there's a few interesting things that I can do. I can at least take this failure into a win and learn something, but I need to move my butt and get all of this sorted out. So all these 50 or so butternuts I need to harvest, weigh them, get them cured up, trim all the grass back, and then reset this entire bed. What I want to do, obviously all of this green material, I have quite a bit of leaves that I've saved up from autumn. I'm going to lay down leaf layers, and then you can see I've already started putting down all the greens to start decomposing, start introducing nitrogen into the ground and all that. The nice thing is, because of those leaves and all this green material, I can then stack it up, and then hopefully at least I don't have any negative effects of nitrogen sequestration in the soil. Because what I want to do, this entire run here, including this like little run here of pepper bin, I want to try and cultivate stuff. I mentioned just now that little makeshift greenhouse I want to make. Here is a perfect spot for me to grow garlic, and that's something I need to plant up within the next, I don't know, few weeks, just before the coldest parts of winter. But then this whole area here, I want to try and grow, I don't know, some kale, cabbages, some other brassicas. Again, taking my chances, but if I have like a little bottle greenhouse that I can at least protect the seeds and the little seedlings, get them to grow up a little bit, get them to strengthen a bit, and then coming into the sort of roughest part of winter, have a larger sort of greenhouse that I can grow them in. Then at least once we're over that coldest part of winter, then I have a more mature plant that's sort of growing in the second half of winter, then coming into spring to get sort of a late harvest. That's something that I want to try. I don't know how successful it's going to be, but I'm going to try and push my luck anyways. Then, something very interesting happened. While I was cleaning this place up, one, I found a frog. I found a little frog dude. And I think it's the same frog that I took a photo of a while ago. So, what I've done, a lot of the greens, I've stacked it behind some of these pellets, so that the frogs can at least try and hibernate in, just to try and, at least help them out, because I don't want them to come into some of these other areas where I still need to work and then end up injuring them. No, so I've tried to create a bit of a spot for them, so then as I work there, hopefully it'll get scared and then sort of come into these areas and hibernate through. I want frogs in my yard. I love the sound of frogs. Frogs are fucking cool. So yeah, and in this process, I found not only this guy, right? I mentioned in the pepper video that this guy wasn't producing fruit. I harvested 900 grams of peppers yesterday. Phenomenal. unexpected. I did not think that would happen. And while I was cleaning this place up, I found another pepper plant. I didn't even know this guy was growing here. So, yeah, keep your place clean and you'll sort of get good harvest, I suppose. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. It's just, I was surprised. I didn't think I would find a little pepper plant. And then, while on the topic of peppers, these guys I need to clean up. I need to prune. I've been pondering whether I should relocate them before or after the worst part of winter. The idea is they're quite close to each other, a little bit awkward in terms of spacing. I want to sort of relocate them around that side towards where I want to plant the garlic. That other guy there by the lapa, I want to come move around here as well. But I've been thinking that it might be better to do it after the coldest part of winter, because if I do it before and it sends it into shock and then we get some freezes, I might end up just killing them. I'm not actually sure. So I think in terms of just experimentation, I'll maybe move a few of them before and I'll move a few of them afterwards and see how they compare. Because then that way I can actually see come spring and summer if there is any sort of production difference between the two, so we can just try and hone in on any issues and sort of redirect our energy into I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say try and be more effective with when and how we do things. Yeah. Alright, and then I've cleaned this whole area, so right now all I have is peas, some of these blue shelling peas. I've got 24 plants. Not actually sure how many of them have survived, but the idea is now that they're going to grow through these pellets and they'll start producing, and then from there whatever I start harvesting from the first few harvests I actually want to plant up here, because then I'll have essentially a wall of peas. And what I mentioned just now with the brassicas is the same thing with these peas, because then I'll start getting them to grow up and then I'll have a sort of a late winter harvest of peas on this sort of run here. I have also been pondering the fact that I might want to plant stuff here. This area does get quite a bit of sun, but as you can see it's a nice dappled sun. But I think this might be a good spot for me to grow some more cabbages and stuff that requires a lot of nutrients. Even though I've had squashes here, gem squash and butternuts, because there's so much organic matter that I've been putting down here in terms of trench composting, all the mulches, all the chop and drop. This place is like really fertile, so I want to maybe try and grow something here in this winter. I don't know, it's something that I've been pondering about. Again, you can see these guys are taking on some damage. Honestly, I don't think that these gem squash are going to last very long. Gem squash, and then that's actually a butternut. It turns out it was a butternut, not a gem squash. But I don't think these guys are actually going to produce anything. I think they're going to die within the next few weeks. So basically the plan then is this whole area, I'm going to sort of rescape it. These, I know this isn't really pertaining to veggies, but it's sort of just space utilization. I want to move some of these perennials around. These yellow shrubs, I want to move closer to the palm trees on either side. What I've noticed is that the annuals, the crops, they sort of suffer the closer they go towards the palm trees. So by putting these perennials there, they can sort of at least soak up some of those issues, all that competition for the palm trees. They will then also just fill up some of the spots, and in terms of landscaping I'll just get a bit of a nice frame. The dogwoods I'll put in front, the spider plants I'll put in front. I think it'll be quite cool. So then this will be more of an aesthetic feature, and then I'll have more cultivatable area here, more cultivatable area here. That's at least what I'm thinking, because here I can't really utilize much of the space at all. So then by moving these perennials over, I can then increase the amount of space that I have. And this arborvitae I want to try and air layer. I'm going to do a video on this, but essentially what it is you on part of the branches, you essentially cut back some of the bark to get to the cambium layer of the branch. You put down some rooting hormone, wrap it with something like Coca-Cola or something that's essentially a soil or soilless medium, just to enable roots to grow from that cambium layer. That way I can then essentially clone this plant, and then I can remove it, and then again I've got more cultivatable area, because then this I can then plant in other areas of the garden. So my little compost bin is actually going pretty well. I've managed to top it up a few times extra. What I want to end up doing is, because it's compressing quite a bit, so sort of come into like half of winter, I'm not really sure of the timing, but at some point during winter I'm actually going to end up putting all of the compost into a single bin, just to just to put everything in one place. I can cover it, I can protect it, I know everything is in one spot, and then I will actually have the other two bins that'll then be empty. So then coming into spring, as you start getting grass and stuff, I've got somewhere to put all of that stuff in, and then it's already done. I want to try and do all the hard work during winter while it's nice and cool, instead of then waiting for summer or spring and summer and then try and do all the hard work and then suffer in the sun. So I want to try and do all that hard stuff now in winter. This little sunflower bed, I actually want to extend this. I want to extend it out a little bit, because going forward I actually want to plant corn here. The sunflowers I want to start growing there by the lapa. I want to sort of create a bit of an aesthetic feature there. This area is large enough that I can use half of it for corn, for succession sowing one, grow other shorter season crops on the other half, and then by the time I want to start getting ready to harvest the corn, I then have this area that is then bare. I then plant up my next succession of corn here, harvest this corn, and then I have that bed that's then free to then grow other short season crops. So sort of I want to then try and do that, but in order for me to have enough space to do that, I need to extend this out. This is something I need to do this winter. I also want to extend this bed coming out here, joining up to the compost bin. The whole reason is this little area here, I want to then have this as also like a pepper bend, but I'll have eggplants here, I'll have hot peppers. The main reason is just because of the amount of sun that it gets, and because this area here gets the hottest afternoon sun. Things like brinjals and peppers that require or that enjoys a very hot, intense sun, I think they'll thrive in this sort of area. So this way I'll have all of these almost like perennial pepper plants here, and then this like spot here that's just reserved for corn. And then yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on in my garden at the moment. We're really winding down for winter at the moment, so there's not really much that's going on. It's a little bit quiet, but I still have plans, I still have things that I want to try, take my chances with a few things, and we'll see how that goes. So what you'll start seeing is a lot of the content that I'm going to start putting out is more, it's going to be more geared towards like theory of things. There's a few things like specifically like toxicity and chemical leaching in soils that I want to discuss, but there's quite a bit of research that I need to do onto that. I've mentioned before, like with corn, I want to go into like a nutrient based sort of video with what crops take out which nutrients, how much of those nutrients, how much nutrients are in compost, how much compost do you actually need to have a successful harvest, those sorts of things. I also want to do a bit of a planning video. I still have plans that I'm going to exercise in the sort of later part of winter come spring, but I think just for the sake of brevity I'll do that in a completely separate video in a few months time. But I think it'll also be worthwhile, especially for any beginners watching the videos, like just try and consolidate some information down into a single video or one or two videos discussing a few core concepts, so that's a little bit easier to digest all that information and say, okay, I'm a beginner, there's so much information out there, here's where I start. And that's sort of what I want to do come winter, just to get all of that sort of theory-based stuff, all the planning out of the way, so that come spring and summer, we can hit the ground running and just tackle this place and get a phenomenal harvest. So yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, I hope this video was entertaining. Not really much information in this video, just talking here. Yeah, so if you enjoy hearing me ramble on about random gardening stuff, I encourage you to check out the playlist.